Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing for Wednesday, the 21st of June. I'm Derek Clark, and I'm joined by a fantastically full strength squad this morning. First of all, Adam Thornton. How are we doing, Adam?
Good, thank you. Fresh Barnet trim, so you can take the piss out of me with this advert coming up. Can't wait.
And Stephen Purdon joins us again after last week. Brilliant show last week, Stephen. Great to have you back on again, buddy.
Aye, great to be back. Enjoyed it last week, mate.
Yeah, it was superb. Right, let's get Seneca out the way, lads, since Adam has teed it up. They are the podcast sponsors. If you're looking for a hair transplant, folks like Adam, then these are the guys to call. I've put the all-important links in the description box. All their transplants carried out by doctors. They're a multi-award winning as well, so they know their stuff. So give them a call if that is something you are thinking about. Right, lads. News yesterday, of course, that broke was on Malik Tillman. This show was becoming sort of the Malik Tillman show in the last few weeks because we were unsure whether he would return to Glasgow and play for Rangers on a permanent basis. That has finally been put to bed because Bayern Munich have cancelled the option to buy clause that was inserted in the deal to bring the American international to Ibrox last summer. However, Rangers will be compensated by that decision. They will receive £1 million in a cancellation fee. And as part of the cancellation clause, Rangers will also be entitled to 10% of the fee Bayern received from selling Tillman this summer. Apparently, there's teams in Germany and Italy keeping an eye on them. We've reported that Brighton and Brentford are two clubs that have been credited with interest as well. It looks like he may leave for a fee in the region of £10 million plus. So Rangers in line to receive around over £2 million for developing Bayern's player. Adam, this is for me. I think Malik wasn't too keen on returning to Rangers. But to get about £2 million for someone they've had on loan, I think that's pretty good business, is it not?
Definitely is. It's like that still game sketch, isn't it? Where you see the news coming through, you're like, that's a lot. That's not bad, actually. That's actually quite good. I think you're right. I think the kind of rumours are, or the inference is, that he didn't want to come back. Therefore, the clauses that were inserted in that deal, I have to admit, maybe we've just not heard them publicly before, or it's not came by Rangers. I haven't heard one of those before in terms of loan to buy. So I think it's really interesting. But if you're saying, we don't know how much the loan fee was, obviously, at the start, but if it's basically you get your money back or you get a little bit back on top, and then you've got this 10% of the future deal thing for a player you don't own, for a player that didn't want to be here or Bayern didn't want to sell him to us, then I think that's great. I see a few people saying, but we should just have activated it anyway. If he did want to come, then we could sell him on. Sounds like Bayern had a pretty low buyback clause on the deal anyway. Therefore, even if you keep him for a year, you don't make as much. You just make round about as much money as you're making now. So I think it's quite complicated. But I think ultimately, like you say, if he didn't want to stay, this is a pretty good deal. And who knows, clubs could get into a bidding war for Tillman. It could rise up to 15 million or so for him. Yeah. And that's just more profit for us. So, it's a shame because I think I'm on record as saying that I haven't seen a 20-year-old or anyone of that age play like that for Rangers, certainly in the first 6 months or so since probably Barry Ferguson. So it would be good to have him. But in the modern world, unfortunately, clubs like Bayern hold all the cards. And I think we've had as best an outcome there as we could hope if he didn't want to come back.
Yeah, Stephen Zanders raises a point here. He says, morning, gents, and Adam, should we perhaps praise Ross Wilson in particular here for this type of deal to have happened? I think Malik's one of those ones, Stephen, where just we enjoyed him while he was here. I think he's gone all the way to the top, right enough. But is there a tinge of disappointment you're not going to see him again in the Rangers jersey?
Aye, definitely. I mean, I was a big fan. I thought, like Adam says, I think for a young boy to come over here and perform the way he did, I think he looked a class act. He looked a level above a lot of the players at times. But like Adam says also, to get the money that we're getting for that out of loan deal, I've never heard anything like that in my life. So It's a bit of a unique situation. But I think also it will bode well for us in the future to show that we can take players on loan. And he's obviously progressed. And Bayern, I think ultimately the boy didn't want to come back. I think Bayern has seen an opportunity that he wants to go elsewhere and they can make more money. And I think that's off the back of how well he performed at Rangers. So I think it looks good for us that way. Plus, it looks good for us with the money we're going to get, because I've never seen a situation like this before. So it's a win-win that way. Would I have liked him to stay? Yeah, but it's obvious the boy doesn't want to come back. If he wanted to come back, he'd have been back straight away. So I think we've done well at this deal, to be fair.
Yeah,
it does set a good precedent, though, I think, Derek, as Stephen says, because Bayern will see that and they'll think, we wouldn't have got 10 million quid for him last summer. We wouldn't have got that money if he was sitting in the Bayern B team or whatever, even if he went on loan probably to Bundesliga 2 or anything like that. So coming, getting Champions League experience, I know it wasn't exactly the best, but getting that first team football, Bayern will think, oh, hang on a minute, we could do that again. That might be quite good. So I think it's one of those that might have more positives as well.
Yeah, William says, hopefully we'll have built up a good relationship with Bayern so we can do similar deals again with them. Yeah, I think there's a decent understanding between both clubs. Dave Fulton says, great deal for us, £2 million plus for having a Tillman for last season. Ross Wilson did a good job negotiating those clauses with Bayern. Stephen, where do you think he's going to go? And do you think he can reach the top? I mean, that was his first proper full season as a professional at Rangers last season. That he was showed moments of pure brilliance at times. But what's his ceiling? Where can he go?
I mean, when you look at a lot of players going down south to the English Premier League, I don't think he would look at a place down there. I think maybe a team like Brighton or something, the way he plays the game. I know a lot of people, Rangers fans, I mean, a lot of people maybe judged them on a lot of performances in the Old Firm games and stuff. But I think as a whole, the numbers that boy brought in a very disjointed season, I don't think you can really give the boy bad rep for that. Old Firm games, maybe some games he wasn't fit, he maybe shouldn't have played. But I think going down to a Brighton or something, I mean, I think the boy technically looks very good. He's a big boy, very athletic. He's good in the air. He's got all the attributes. And at 20 years old, he's only going to get better.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think he's going all the way to the top. Scott Mackay says Brentford would be a good move for him. Totally agree.
Well,
yeah. I think those are the two clubs that I've been credited with an interest. But listen, there's going to be clubs across the continent that have looked at Malik Tillman, especially last season, and will fancy taking a chance on him. Kev Armstrong says Derek Rock in the Cantona look this morning. What a player he was, by the way. Absolutely superb. Comments coming in here. First of all, Neil McMahon says, hi guys, can I just blocking out your face there, Steve? Massive message.
Mate, a guy of my height is used to this happening, don't worry, mate.
Hi guys, can I get a shout out for my uncle Robert McMahon, who's 94 today in Toronto. He's been a loyal Rangers man his whole life and still watches every game at the Toronto #1 Rangers club. Happy birthday, Robert. That is a fantastic innings. Superb. Lovely. Love to hear that sort of stuff. So hopefully you have a fantastic day. Just on Tillman, Scott Mackay says, seen a lot of supporters disgruntled on Twitter, blaming the board. It's a great deal for a player who didn't want to sign. Adam, just off the back of that then, were you in that you would like to have seen Tillman come back to the club camp? And with him not coming back, does that maybe perhaps provide an opportunity? I'm thinking about the likes of Yanis Hadji, Alex Lowry perhaps, or does that change their futures, their immediate futures, do you think?
Possibly. I was in the camp of yes, would like to see him come back, but also given that we had Hadji, Cantwell, Lawrence, Lowry, all kind of capable of playing in those positions, was the £5 million a good investment, depending on what else we needed. We knew we need a keeper, we knew we need a centre-half, we know we need 2 or 3 strikers or forwards, so that was my only thing there. If we've only got £10 million, do we spend £5 million on Tillman, even though he's great and would be one of the best players, but we still haven't sorted out the bigger priority issues, which were scoring goals and conceding too many. So just in isolation, 100%, I thought he would be good to come back. In terms of everything else, I think we are still quite heavy in that position, to be honest. It maybe moves Lowry up one, which is good news. Hadji, I'm not sure. I think I'm on record as saying if we get a decent bid for Hadji, I'd be fine with him going, just where he is just now in terms of his age. I think Cantwell's ahead of him in the starting 11. I think probably Lawrence would be as well when he comes back to fitness. I know the manager really likes him as well. So I don't think it changes too much in there. I think we arguably still need a couple of players in those attacking areas to go. So yeah, it's a tricky one. But just in isolation, £5 million for Tillman would have been an absolute no-brainer. And I think, as the comment said earlier on, I think whoever negotiated the deal, if it was Ross Wilson, does deserve a bit of praise, because Bayern are well within their rights to say, have him on loan, no strings attached. We don't need to give you a buyback. We don't need to give you this. We don't need to give you that. So absolutely, it's a complex deal, but I think we haven't rolled over and let our belly be tickled. We're going to get a decent amount of money from it. And we got whatever it was, 20 goals and assists, I think, last year, albeit it wasn't a successful season. So yeah, I think all round it's a good deal, but I would have loved to have him next season.
We talked about Yanis Hadji last week, Stephen, but on the topic, Lowry, could you see him possibly going out on loan next season, or do you think he's got a part to play? Had a bit of a stop-start season last season. Of course, he suffered that horrendous tackle down at Dumbarton. There was off-field issues as well that you had to deal with. Next season's a big one for him, isn't it?
I think the conundrum with Lowry is, I think there's been a few managers now where they've been there and he's not quite broke through. I don't know what the problem is. I don't know if it's attitude or whatever. I don't know, because the boys obviously clearly got ability. But like we said last week, this season, when we spoke about Hadji, I think Lowry comes into that bracket as well. Like Hadji clearly it's going to take him a while to get back to that level he was at before the horrendous injury he had. Lowry, does he fall into that bracket? No with injuries, but just with being a young boy coming in, the pressures having to play every week. If we bring the right personnel in, I know Adam's saying we're quite heavy there, talking about Lawrence, but Lawrence falls into the same bracket as Hadji. You don't know what kind of player Lawrence is going to be when he comes back, how long it's going to take him to come back for such a horrendous injury. And Lowry, so young, well, I say so young, I don't think he's had a lot of experience in the first team, as we all know. How's he going to cope week to week? So I think if we bring more personnel in there, I could potentially see Lowry going out on loan.
Yeah. That's my feeling as well. And if he does go out on loan, I'd like to see him go down south or a team abroad as opposed to a team in the Scottish Premiership. Always welcome donations. You can donate to the channel, folks, in Fruit Pastel God 208, what a username that is, has donated £5 to the channel. Thank you very much, buddy. That's greatly appreciated. He says, hi guys, great show. Andy here from Newcastle. If the season started tomorrow with the players we have now, what's your 1 to 11? Just off the back of that, before we come to you first, Adam, I've seen, again, there's so many differing views on Twitter. I've seen that someone posting the Rangers squad as it is at the moment, and people going bananas thinking that it's nowhere near good enough to win the league. We're not even in July yet, and people are assessing the squad already. There's a long way to go, folks, with regards to that. But if the season starts tomorrow, who's in your starting lineup, Adam?
Yeah, just on that, I guess it's a bit of a catch-22 because the manager's been pretty forthright that he wants the bulk of his players in for pre-season, which is now 9 days away, I think. So, yeah, there is probably way too early to have a panic about the season as a whole, but it's it's maybe getting to the point where those words are looking a little bit idealistic. So yeah, I completely get that. 1 to 11, I think we need to go Butland, Tavernier, Ridvan at left back, Suter and Goldson at centre half. I think the midfield three for me would be, as things stand, Raskin, Jack, Cantwell, and then up top, Lammers, Sakala, Cholak, I guess. Obviously, the Roof would be in there as well, but if it's right today, I'm not sure Roof is starting football games. So, no. Yeah, I think that would be the 11 for me. The priorities are what we know. We need more forwards in there. Absolutely, we probably definitely need another midfielder. If that's Cifuentes, then great. And we need another centre half, I think, as urgent priority. So I'm looking at 4 first picks, I think, as a priority, and then starting to replace anyone that goes.
He's only get Lammers and Butland in there, Stephen, of the new signings. Would you deviate from Adam's team? Is there any? Would you have Sterling in there, maybe?
No, I think I would go with what Adam said there, because I don't know enough about the boy Sterling.
Aye.
I think it's panicking me a wee bit here and that there. And I don't want to panic, you know what I mean? We still need to get more bodies in. But I think with what you've got there, I think I would go with what Adam says. Obviously, is Borna going to stay? I don't know. Yilmaz, I think towards the end of the season, did look tidy on the ball. He looked a good... I would maybe go with Yilmaz as well. But I think... how many times have Rangers fans all sat here and said we'd love to see a fit Kemar Roof, you know what I mean? But as Adam said, I don't think he's ready to start football games. And like we said, and I said a couple of minutes ago, we need to hit the ground running this season. We need to be right at it for the word go. So you can't really have any passengers. But I would say another 4 or 5 bodies coming in that needs to be first pick. You know what I mean? Need to be starting 11 players, but time will tell.
Yeah, Ian Thompson says it's a worry how many injury-prone players are in the best first team at the moment. Can't have a season like we had last season, surely. It was absolutely dreadful in terms of the long-term injuries that were off the pitch and on the treatment table. Just deviating slightly, Direction Home says, Adam, that interview with the South American football agent over at Heart and Hand was excellent content. Very interesting regarding South Americans and work permits post-Brexit. Yeah, did a great interview just on Jose Cifuentes. He's a player that, of course, has been heavily linked. Adam, is that someone that you'll be keen to see in a Rangers jersey next season?
Definitely, yeah. It was good to speak to Simon on that because he gave us a little bit more insight from South America. He mentioned that he works as an agent out there and he's been following Cifuentes since 2019, I think he said. It was the last Under-20 World Cup. So he's sort of charted his progress there in Ecuador and then moving over to LA. So I think absolutely the skill set that you mentioned, the fact that he could play number 8, number 10 primarily, but he could sit a little bit deeper as well was good. I think he's not afraid to get forward. He's physical, athletic. He's got a bit of pace. He takes a good shot as well, as we've seen from the clips and the games that we've watched. So I think absolutely, considering everything, considering the fact that he's out of contract in 6 months, therefore the fee will be pretty low as well. I think he said on the open market he'd be expecting him to go for £6 or £7 million. So if we can get him for the £1 million that's been mooted, then great. I'm not sure what's happening with it. I know it's went a little bit quiet, and when it goes a little bit quiet, everybody starts to get a bit concerned. This one's going to be slightly complicated because he can sign a pre-contract on the 1st of July, and I think once he does that, that then puts the ball firmly in our court. And LAFC, we can say, look, you need to take this money because he signed the pre-contract with us. It's sort of done and dusted. So I'm not sure if we're just waiting for that. I seen he played last night. I haven't caught the game yet, but he's played and they won 3-1 and he set up a goal. So he's right in form. As Stephen said, he's a player who is literally right in form and playing right now and will be ready to go. He hasn't had a break. Okay, fair enough, but MLS only started about 8-10 weeks ago. So he's coming in, get 6 months out of him, absolutely 100% right away, and then he can get a break in the winter. So that's one that I'm very excited about if we can get that done. And I think he would slot into my midfield, if you like, and I would probably move Cantwell forward into the number 10 slot. So yeah, definitely a big fan of that one.
Who drops out then?
I think that's really difficult. I think for me, Cholak and Sakala would be dropping out of my starting lineup anyway if we get players in.
100%.
So that's the debate there. Is it, dare I say his name right now, Dessers, they're coming in as well, and that's the two that join. I'm not 100%. But yeah, for me, I think absolutely Cifuentes would come into midfield. I would love if we played just Raskin as a holder and then we went with like Cifuentes and Cantwell, etc. History tells us with Steven Gerrard, with Van Bronckhorst, with Michael Beale, more often than not, we're going to have two of those sort of deeper line midfielders. And unfortunately, as much as fans, and myself included, want to see one sitting midfielder and basically 5 attackers, it's very unlikely it's going to happen, I think, but I'd be delighted if it did.
Yeah, just at the back of that, company Justine, Colin Williams says McGregor, McLaughlin upgrade to Butland McCrory is a massive plus for me, but we definitely need to nail this striker position. It's probably the biggest signing of the summer after Butland. Would you agree with that? You just, Sakala and Cholak, I don't think many supporters would be too enamoured if Rangers are lining up with them two as their go-to men up front. They need to get someone that's going to hit 20 plus 25 goals next season, don't they?
It's imperative, man. You need that. We need to. I've during this window, I've been waiting. I mean, I know we've signed Lammers there, but obviously, we need a prolific goal scorer. We really need that. And I don't know if the boy you're talking about a minute ago, Adam, what's his name again? The boy from Italy.
Cyril Dessers.
Dessers.
I don't know. I read in different places yesterday that was off. I don't know if it's on or off. I don't know. But we need any team that wins a title needs a goal scorer. You need a goal scorer. You need somebody that's going to do that job, and that's something we've been lacking for the last few years now. So if we get that, and it's going to we need to spend a bit of money on it, which they don't come cheap, but we're going to need that, because for me, talking about like Cholak, Sakala, I know Cholak, his numbers were good and then get that injury, but still there's just something doesn't sit right with Cholak for me at times with the system we play. But you need that. Any team that wins titles has a goal scorer.
That's an interesting one on Dessers, because as Stephen said there, Adam, there's reports, a publication in Italy suggesting that he wants to stay in Italy. We know that Torino are apparently interested in him. Cremonese said to be holding out for £7 million, which I've got to say seems way too much for him. I'm not entirely sure Rangers will be wanting to pay that amount of money for him, in all honesty. But is he the one for you that they need to bring in? I know that Josh Maggie's been linked, the boy from Greece, Devikas, that they've denied the club about being interested in, but that is a sort of profile for me Rangers should be looking at. Right age, banging form, the striking department, is it one that's a concern for you at this stage?
Yeah, 100%. I think, again, we have players there. We have players that can play there. We have players that have probably played quite well there in patches, but we don't have consistency. We don't have 100% quality in there for all the reasons that we've mentioned. So I think we absolutely need to be bringing in two in there, certainly two attackers in there to provide that competition. Obviously, if that means some of the others go, then okay. But we absolutely need to be doing that. Yeah, Dessers, I know we had that out yesterday about him preferring to stay in Italy. I spoke to an Italian journalist yesterday that was actually supposed to come on and do a podcast on Dessers and Lammers with me, and he said Calcio Mercato is a little bit hit and miss. I know they've got a lot of followers and things, but there are literally transfer journalists who don't work for any publication and are made up that have over 1 million followers and things. So I think we need to take it by a pinch of salt. If that comes out, I actually thought that website was linked to Corriere dello Sport, but it seems like it's not the case. So we'll wait for sort of more information on that one before we decide if he's not happening. In terms of who, I think Maja on a free probably makes sense. I think if that allows you to then go and push the boat out on others, great. He's not 100% what I would be after. I think he's good, but I've got my doubts as to whether he would be the one that bangs in 20-25 goals, as Stephen mentioned. Between Dessers and Duvikas, they are quite similar. I spoke to a Dutch journalist guy the other day who said they're kind of similar players. They're both nines. They'll both be up there. They both link up well. They're both probably at a similar level in terms of ability just now. Duvikas is 5 or 6 years younger, though. Therefore, his ceiling is going to be higher, and therefore his price is probably double. So, in an ideal world, being a forward-thinking, progressive club that are building squads and speculating to accumulate, you probably would be going for Duvikas if you can get that done in any kind of money that works for us. However, Dessers, as you said, Derek, buy now, ready to go, hopefully £4 million or so, would be a decent one for this season, and then we can maybe think about future planning, etc. once we get the players in that we need to go now. So there are others out there, obviously, that I think are quite interesting as well, but the need is close to desperate. I know it's ridiculous when we're on Midsummer's Day or whatever it is just now that we're talking about. We absolutely need to get players in, but I think in the forward lines to get us going, to be ready for the Champions League qualifiers, get the team gelled in pre-season, etc. We badly need one, if not two, starting players in within the next 10 days or so.
Yeah, loads of comments coming in. Before we get to them, just a quick reminder, folks, you can see the ticker below if you're watching us on YouTube and the likes. We've now launched a membership scheme where you can join the channel and get extra content, up to 3 to 5 extra videos a week. There was a top video yesterday when the Tillman news broke, Johnny and you, and just describing in detail what that means for the club. Over 200 of you have signed up to become a member, so thank you to each and every one of you for supporting the channel. Just £2.99 a month. There should be the join button on the homepage of the Rangers Review YouTube channel. So do click that, and then you can join us. So we've having fantastic feedback on that already. So long may that continue. Right, let's get to a few of the comments coming in. This one on Sakala, Stephen. We're touching on this. This boy says, OS 19 says Sakala can't be a starter next season. No way. If Dessers was to come in, or Maja, or whoever it is, Rangers might be stacked for strikers. That we do expect some departures. Is Cholak, or if you had to choose between Cholak and Sakala, who's heading out the door, what one are you selling? For me, I've got to say I do like Cholak. I think he's good against teams that play the low block at Ibrox. When teams come in and set up camp, I think he's a terrific finisher. Like you say, though, Stephen, I don't think it suits Michael Beale's brand of football style of play in the main. But Sakala or Cholak, who are you keeping?
Oh, it's a tricky one, man. Cholak for me looked every bit the finisher we wanted at the start of last season, but I would maybe edge more towards keeping Sakala than Cholak, because I just don't think Cholak seems to fit the system. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, if it's his link-up play or whatever. I mean, he's a natural finisher. But for me, under Beale, since Beale came in to the end of the season there, I think Sakala's numbers were very impressive. And I think it gives you that unpredictability, which sometimes is a bad thing, because we've all seen that, the two sitters in the cup against Celtic and that. But I would maybe, as a squad player, I think Sakala could have an impact from the bench from time to time. Cholak, I don't know. I would maybe edge more towards keeping Sakala than Cholak. But it kind of pains me to say that, because I've not really got a bad thing to say about Cholak, to be honest. I think it's just maybe the wrong timing for him coming to Rangers. I don't know what it is. And I'm no bad mouthing Cholak. I think he's a decent forward, good finisher, but I'd maybe keep Sakala ahead of him.
Would you agree with that, Adam? I think Sakala, we've just learned to just live that he is, the fact that he is erratic. I don't think he's going to change at this stage of his career. We just need to deal with that. His numbers, a few comments coming in saying that his numbers are good. Ian Thompson says he'll always contribute, and its cost level, he's pound for pound a no-brainer to keep. That being said, I think if they get a lucrative offer, say about £4 million, £3 million, £4 million for Sakala, I think it's seriously tempting. Cholak or Sakala for you, though?
I completely agree with what Stephen said in terms of what they bring and what their skill sets are. Off the field, though, that's the interesting part, because Sakala is a few years younger, came in on a free transfer.
Yeah.
Assume/guess he'll be on lower wages. We could get more money for Sakala as well, like you said. I don't think £4 or £5 million is really outlandish for someone like that. Germany, etc., will pay. See, for players that are decent on the counter attack, you can just ping balls and get them to run and score. We've seen how many goals he scored in Belgium doing that. That for me is something we need to think about with Cholak. If you get your money back, you're probably doing quite well, given he's been injured for a bit this season. He's now approaching 30. So all of those things are things that I think come into play and make it really, really interesting. For me, just the two of them in isolation right now, I would probably keep Sakala. I know we are desperate for goals, but Sakala, things just happen, good things and bad things, but the ball's just attracted to him, and what he does with it is a bit of a lottery. Absolutely. Stephen's point, I think, is spot on. We don't think either of these two players will be starting 100% as a Rangers striker. We kind of hope that we bring in more quality there. I think you'll get more from Sakala off the bench, or you get more from him in the odd game or a tight away game or this and that. So on that, I think I would probably be looking to keep him. The sort of first 11 thing, I know we spoke about that, but it's quite interesting, because for me, it is obviously a squad thing. I think we 100% will need probably 20, 25 players to contribute. And the big thing about the 55 season, I think, Derek, was how much we spread the goals out in terms of, I think if we started the season, I think Kent got a few at the start of the season, and then it moved on to Hadji and Arfield were contributing a fair bit. And then over Christmas, Roof scored, I think, 10 in 10 games. And then when Morelos came in the January, I think there was Aberdeen away, Hibs away, Livingston away, he got the goals and 1-0 wins. So that was a really big part of this for me, was that players that weren't starting had you got the most assists, and I don't think anybody would have thought he was in the first 11. So I think it's fine to say we need more attackers in up front, but it doesn't mean that the players that are there can't contribute. Sakala gets to a point where he's coming off the bench, or he's starting 20, 25 games and hitting 10 goals. I don't think anybody's going to complain. It's just about sort of making them rotation options rather than being the only option, I think. But yeah, if you put a gun to my head, I would say keep Sakala for everything that we've said, and hopefully we'll be able to get Cholak's goals replicated by players coming in.
Yeah, interesting. It's certainly one to keep an eye on over the course of the summer. And David Markson says, end of the day, fool I may be, but I'm trusting that the gaffer knows more than most of us about football and spotting talent. Yeah, here. I also have full trust in Michael Beale and the work that he's doing over the course of the summer. Right, before we go, first of all, getting to the pressing news, Stephen, you told us last week that it was your kid's sports day, and there's a famous dad's race, and you're going to reclaim your title. Did that materialise?
It did not, Derek. It did not.
Wow.
I came second for the second year in a row. As I said last week before that, first 5 years in a row, but I've like a professional, like Hadji coming back, I've lost a wee yard. I've lost a wee yard, so I'm still trying to get that back. So came second, but my boy won his race, so that's all that matters.
Good.
Yeah,
good stuff. And folks, if you're not aware as well, the two lads broadcast their own brilliant podcasts themselves. First, if you want to laugh, Stephen's on A Pint and Two Shots with Grado and Chris Toll. Where can people find that Stephen?
Just where you get your podcasts, everywhere, anywhere where you get a podcast, it's out there.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic, folks. Do go and check it out. And Adam as well, as a comment earlier on suggested, he's part of the Heart and Hand team. So if you want to know anything about tactics or prospective new signings, then Heart and Hand is your place to go. And I've seen you started doing shows on specific Rangers goals as well, Adam.
Yeah, that was ones we did a couple of years ago. Me and Ali and Martin Ramsey just talking through some classic goals. So we did Loudrup at Tannadice to win 9 in a row. We done Gaza's second against Aberdeen in '96, and we also did McCoist's diving header against Leeds. We've got 2 more in the can just to put out. I think we've got Lovenkrands in the cup final, and we've also got Rod Wallace against Dortmund. So we use Tactical Pad.
Oh, what a goal that was, by the way.
Yeah, great goal. That's one of the best goals you'll ever see.
So it's actually really difficult we use that Tactical Pad to sort of build a move up and illustrate it. There's actually so many passes in it that it took forever to this person passes to this person and blah blah blah. So that'll be coming out in a couple of weeks once we get those sorted out. And yeah, we're trying to do a little bit more on YouTube with Tactical Pad. I think it just helps with tactics. Is not a very it's quite a dry subject if you're listening to it for an hour or two. So getting on the screen. Getting on the screen and moving the wee Subbuteo men about helps it out a bit, I think.
Yeah, absolute classic. And Mark Cairn says, Stephen, it's good to see you drinking out of a blue bottle rather than a Celtic cup. So that's
the things I do for money, you know what I mean? That just shows how good a range I've got as an actor, Derek, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Staunch. Right, guys, that'll do us there. Thanks to Stephen and to Adam for joining us. It's been greatly appreciated once again. And thanks to everyone for interacting with the show. We'll be back again tomorrow. But until then, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Bye for now.